Hey everyone, welcome back to the IKnowUCantPvp channel, and today we will be telling a pretty crazy story in my own opinion. It's a story of the time I got into a fight, and they pretty much, threatened us with a gun. I messed around with my microphone settings, so hopefully it does sound better, and today it will also be, my first voiceover, I guess you could say. I'm just gonna be talking in the background over some, gameplay or something, probably Sky Wars, Bed Wars, I don't really know. But, yeah, let's get into the video. So basically, I have this friend that we're gonna call Jack for this story, and I also have a friend that we're gonna name Tom. So, Jack and Tom are okay friends, they get along sometimes, but they also fight a lot, and that's not very good. I'm pretty good, with both of them, but if you have 3 people, it's harder to get along, because, it's an odd number, and 3 is just a hard number in general. So yeah, that made us, whenever we would all hang out, we would just get into fights a lot, argue a lot. Me and Tom, we liked, joking around a lot, so we would just make jokes around Jack. Jack did not like these jokes at all. He hated them, and he took them way too seriously. He just didn't take, our jokes very well. So, one day, me and Tom were hanging out, and, Jack, he actually lives in my neighborhood, so he's pretty close to my house. I'd say, a 3-minute walk or so. So, Jack, he recently got a trampoline, and me and Tom figured it'd be a good prank, because, Jack was outside his house right now. He was, doing some painting or something. I don't know what he was doing, to be honest. So, we snuck around to the back of the house, and we were like, let's jump on his trampoline until he notices. And then, we start jumping on the trampoline. And then, while we're jumping on the trampoline, we're just sitting there for about 3 minutes. We stop, because we realize he's still not noticing. And then, we come out, and then we say hi, and then we go back on the trampoline. After that, Jack comes around. He's like, what are you doing on my trampoline? Get off my trampoline! And I'm like, dude, chill, it's just a joke. We were just jumping on it until you noticed. And then he started, swearing at us a lot. One time that was really funny. I remember this clearly. He said, F off, F off, F off, really quickly. It was really funny. And, the thing about Jack is that he has a very high-pitched voice, so whenever he swears, it just sounds like a child swearing, I guess. I don't really know, a good way to put it, but whenever he swears, it's extremely funny, and, it just makes us laugh. So, they told us to get off his property, and then we got off his property and just moved over, a tiny bit to his neighbor's lawn, and then, I'm like, we're off your property now, because you told us to get off his property, so we were off his property. And then he was like, no, I want you to leave. And I'm like, I cannot leave. Your house is in my neighborhood. And then, he was like, yeah, I'll make you leave then. And then, he said, I have a gun inside my house. I'm gonna take out my gun and shoot you with it. And I'm like, whoa, calm down. You just threatened to shoot us with a gun because we're on your neighbor's lawn. How does that, how does that compel? And then he was like, no, go away. And then he goes inside his house, and I'm like, oh shoot, is he actually taking out his gun? We might actually have to leave. And then, he comes out with, a giant stick, a bow staff, I think it was called. You use one of those things in, karate or, taekwondo or something. So he just starts swinging around his stick, and I'm like, what are you gonna do with that stick? And he says, I'm gonna smash your phone with it, because I was recording him at the time, because I was scared. He literally threatened us to shoot me with a gun, and me and Tom with a gun. So I was, genuinely terrified. So I took out my phone, and I'm like, don't hit me with that, don't you dare hit me with that. And, he was like, you know what, fine, and I'll just call the police. And I'm like, please call it, you literally threatened us with a gun. I was like, calling the police probably would not help your situation at the moment. And me right now, I honestly didn't care whether he called the police or not, because we actually did nothing wrong. We just tried to pull a prank on him, just jumping on his trampoline for a few times until he notices. And then he threatened us, turned around and threatened us with a gun. That just doesn't make sense. By the way, Tom, no offense, but he's kind of short for his age, so I was a good 1.5, like 1 foot taller than him or so. And then he turns around, extremely angry. And then he's like, "What did you just say?" And I just say, "Call the police, please. I'm gonna tell them that you threatened us with a gun." And I'm like, you know what? And then he comes running at me with the stick in his hand, and then he knocks me to the ground, and I'm like, I don't think that's the best idea. So I grab his stick out from his hand, and I just push him onto the ground, because I don't want to hurt him, and I just want to teach him a lesson. Don't run at me. So I just push him down, and I trip him. So he's just on the ground. He's still fuming. He's like, this man was breathing so hard. You know in those cartoons where like steam comes out of their nostrils and their ears? That's what was happening to Jack. So it was an interesting experience. After that, he continues fighting with me. He knocks me to the cement, and then I'm like, "Buddy, you just made me bleed." And then now I get mad because you literally, first of all, I thought he was just like playing with me, but actually he started making me bleed, and I was bleeding pretty bad. So after that, I'm like, "What are you no, I'm bleeding, look." And then we start fighting for real. Like, I push him to the grass, and then he starts trying to like kick at me like the little doggy paddle kicks, and then I just grab him by the arms and push him to the ground again. And I'm like, "Buddy, stop." And then, at the time, I was riding my electric skateboard, so he runs out, he grabs the remote of my electric skateboard, and I'm like, "Put that down, that is mine, you cannot take that." And he's like, "Oh, yes, I can." And I'm like, "No, oh, no, you can't." And then, I start counting to 3, like the thing that your parents do when they're like mad or something. I say, "If you don't give me that remote in 30 seconds, I am going to be mad and get the remote by force." And then he starts getting mad because he knows I'm way stronger than him. So he just stands his ground, and I'm surprised that he stands his ground. Props to you, man. But he stands his ground, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I grab the remote from his hand, I push him onto the ground again. So that's about the 3rd time. And I grab the remote, and I go back into the neighbor's lawn, and he says, "I'm calling my mom." And I'm like, and we're just laughing because the sudden change in urge after I push him to the ground, from him threatening me with a gun, threatening us with a bow staff, threatening to break my remote, threatening to, crack my phone in half. And my phone is brand new, by the way. I just got like an iPhone X, and he said, "I'm gonna break that." And I'm like, "No, you aren't." And he went from that to calling his fucking mom. Like, that's honestly so sad. So after that, I'm like, "Call him." And I don't care, like, call him. And then he starts dialing his mom, and I'm like, "Do it, you won't." And then he's like, "Yeah, I won't, and just please leave." And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna leave. You pushed me to the ground, threatened us with so many stuff. I could get you arrested and press charges right now." And that's when he started getting a bit scared. And then basically, all that happened was he went inside, closed the door, and just went inside. And I'm like, that was interesting. And basically, I just like go back to my house. I'm like, I'm kind of over this day. I'm just gonna like watch some YouTube, take my mind off it, and sleep. And that was the end of that story. But wait, there's more. About three or so days later, I see his mom on his yard, and then I go up, and then I just like skateboard up to their yard, and they say, "Hey, what's up?" And I'm saying, "Man, I'm doing all right." And basically, he said, "Anything wrong?" Because I was still kind of pissed at Jack, and yeah, I was just still kind of mad, and I'm pretty sure she could sense that. So basically, I grabbed Tom. Like, he came over, and then me and Tom both talked to his mom, and basically, apparently, Tom told him like his side of the story, which is pretty much him threatening us and all that. I don't think they told us about the part that he threatened us with a gun, a bow staff, hit my phone, how he attacked me, stuff like that. I don't think he actually told his mom that, which is good, because we we didn't really want to get him in trouble. I mean, he did all this stuff to us, but you know, we were still nice. We decided not to tell him, but I just mumbled something really quick, and I was like, yeah, I didn't mention the part where he attacked us. And then his mom said, wait, what did you say? And I said, yeah, one thing Tom probably didn't tell you was that Jack attacked us. And his mom was like, what, really? And then he gets Jack outside, and then he basically just yells at Jack and tells him to go inside, and he got grounded from it. So there was a happy ending to that story, and yeah, everything was pretty much fine. I basically blocked his number, told him to never call me again, and yeah, that was basically the end of that. If you like story times like this, or like voiceovers like this, make sure you drop a like, comment down below if I should continue doing voiceovers like this, because you guys seem to enjoy these, like the story times, you guys seem to enjoy them. Anyways, guys, I really hope this stuff doesn't happen to you. Moral of the story is, I guess, don't hang out with people like this. And yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Back on planet Earth, feeling like goddamn a verse. Digging deep as a can of worms. Used to reach with a hand to burn. I really can't handle germs. Spaced out like Captain Kirk. Wish my mama didn't have to work. Saved up for a couple months, went back to the store, but they didn't have the shirt. That's a metaphor for life. Shit ain't going right. I got more to fight.